My name is Verena White and I help people move out of fear into heart-based consciousness. So today is the first day of our 7-day challenge. So if you watched my video from yesterday, we went through the 7 Hermetic laws, the 7 universal laws. Today we're going to talk about the first one, which is the principle of mentalism. Everything is mind. So what does that mean? It means that basically everything that ever was, ever will be, has begun with a thought. The universe began with a thought. Nothing can be created without being a thought first. Everything we have in today's society, everything you have yourself, began with a thought. The iPhone was a thought that somebody had. The job that you're in was a thought that you had for whatever reason. Whatever is happening in your life began with a thought. So the other part of everything is mind is that everything we see, our whole reality, is filtered through our mind. Not through our eyes, through our mind. It's filtered through our perceptions, our beliefs, our experiences, and the collective consciousness. So imagine that we're not receiving a blank canvas. Before we see or look outside into our reality, before we watch a movie, before we watch the news or on social media, our perception, our beliefs, our reactions to the reality is in our mind. So if we want to change, we either have to change our beliefs, we have to change our perception, or we change where we focus our attention. So this is probably the foundation principle of all the 7 principles, because this is where we create. We create in the mind. So if everything's a thought, we should acknowledge that it's really important to focus on thinking consciously. What we think about is really important. So what they say, we think 80 to 100,000 thoughts a day, primarily on the same thing. Now, if you think about what you're thinking about, is it directed by what you're watching on television? Is it directed by the conversations that you're having with people? Is it directed on what is happening in your life? At the moment, in this time in history, we're living in a really strange time where we're inundated with information. There's a negative narrative about what is happening in the world. So this is a really good time to have a look at what our perceptions are, what our beliefs are. How are we identifying what is going on? How are we using critical thinking to identify what's going on? So if everything is created with a thought, it doesn't mean that we come up with the thought. So this universal law can be used for us or against us. It can be used to manipulate us. It can be used to enhance us. It's really when we have an awareness of it that we can actually identify what is happening. So if you look at your everyday life and what is happening around you, does it represent what you see on television? Does it represent the thoughts and beliefs of other people? So this is where the law of mind is really important. So when we become conscious creators, when we consciously know where to focus attention, we're more mindful. Are we going to watch something that creates fear and worry? Or are we going to focus our attention on something that we want to create? So if we think about the world, most people are focusing on the things they don't want. They're focusing on the lack. They're focusing on the fear, on their health issues. They're focusing on the things they don't want to create in their life. So what do we learn? Where attention goes, energy flows. So the more attention we pay to the things that we don't want, the more they show up in our life. And even though it's not about keeping your head in the sand, it's just about perception and changing our focus. So there is a saying I read on Instagram today from a guy, Lewis Howes. I don't know if it's his quote. Everyday people focus on the problems at hand. Successful people focus on where they want to go. So wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? So we could focus on what kind of world do we want to live in? What kind of things do we want to create in our life? Because primarily we're here on this earth to create. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience, and we're here to create and grow spiritually. So when we're stuck in fear, when we're stuck in the lower base chakra emotions, fear, shame, depression, anxiety, which are all very relevant emotions and can be used to move us in a better direction. But if we stay stuck in those emotions, we don't grow. They're contracting. We don't grow. We can't expand. So the higher, we'll go into more detail with this in the principle of vibration as well. But so to be focused on thoughts that uplift us. Focus on the thoughts of the things we want to create, the things we want to invite into our reality. And if we're looking at the world through sort of grey glasses, maybe we need to look at our beliefs or our perceptions and where they came from. Do we want them? Are they serving us? So there's some of the questions we can ask about the law of mentalism. To know that everything we think is what we invite in or what we are creating. It's important to understand where we focus our attention. What do we talk about? What are we trying to create? If we want to create one thing, but we spend 80% of our time talking about what we don't want, think about that. So I'm not going to talk for too long with each of these videos. I just want to give a brief sort of roundup of each principle. So the law of mentalism. So what I want to start with now is a challenge that I want to invite you to do over the next 24 hours. I want to invite you to see how easy it is to bring something into your life. So let's do something simple, something that you're not attached to, something that you have no resistance to, but just something to invite in, a thought. At the moment, this is happening to me a lot. What was it? It was one day my son was talking about, he was watching Doctor Who and it had been cancelled off Netflix, I think it was. And I said, don't worry, we'll get there. I said, one time there was a TV show that was cancelled and I never got to see the finale. That afternoon, that TV show showed up on Stan. I hadn't even thought about it in 6 months. I hadn't even worried about it. Today, I went and took a walk with my dog and I was looking out and I said, gee, I haven't seen any kangaroos. And even though that might seem strange, I do. They are around often, but recently I haven't seen any. And as I turned the corner, there were 2 kangaroos asleep. So sometimes just the thought shows up in your reality. How many times has that happened to you, that you've thought of someone and then they call you? So what I want to ask you to do is invite something into your life. Something that's just small. Like it could be a thing like maybe a gold hat. It could be an animal. I want to see a kangaroo. I want to see a butterfly. I want to see an owl or a dragonfly. Anything like that. You could also say, I want to see a series of numbers. You could say, I would like to receive a gift in the next 24 hours. I would like to, but just choose one thing. Let's not mess it up, because it's really important with our mind, as the law of mentalism, is that we're clear. Because our subconscious mind works on commands, it works on clarity. And the only thing that stops that stuff showing up is our resistance, which is a whole nother video. So resistance is the things that actually prevent us from receiving. But let's choose something simple that we have no resistance for. So I want you to think of one simple thing, and then I want you to do this process. As our subconscious mind, we need to step into our power. We need to be empowered. Hence, we need to speak to our subconscious mind, the universal field, from a place of power. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say, I command that in the next 24 hours, I am going to see a gold hat. I would like a gold hat to show up in my reality. So I command in the next 24 hours that I will see a gold hat. Thank you. So then we go to gratitude. Thank you. It is done. So then we go to a place where we already accept that this has happened. We already know this has happened. And we're grateful for it. So that's the procedure, just for simple things, just to throw things out there, just to show you how when a seed is planted, how it can show up in your life. Okay, so that's all for today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Please subscribe to the channel. Please write any comments, either on the Facebook page or the YouTube page. If anything that you've asked for shows up, please share with us. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. Okay, see you soon.